but I'm actually French. So you see, like, Product People is quite a distributed company. Victoria is here also from Munich, which is originally from Russia. So you see, we have like a good mixity in the team. Very interesting. So thank you for joining us. You can join us right now also if you want to talk on a Telegram chat that we have at Get Product People. You can also support us on patreon.com. The events are free, but every little bit adds up, and we're always thankful for you guys for supporting us. So just a few words about Product People, what we are. So we are a small consultancy operating mainly in Germany and Switzerland, and we have the mission to help companies build great product faster. So this goes, we have like a range of mission from interim mission, also known as freelance, or even some remote product management thing that we do here. So if you know any companies that would need some product managers on a freelance or on more like normal contract mission, don't hesitate to reach us on LinkedIn. We are always happy to answer to you. So today we are super happy to have Kirill with us. He will be talking about marketplace. Kirill is working at Shopify. And well, we already learned that a lot of you in the audience are interested in this. So now I will just let Kirill talk and do the talking. Oops, I stopped sharing.
Thanks, Alexis. Let me start sharing now. Okay. Do you see my slide now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good. Cool. So yeah, thanks for the introduction. I'm Kirill. I'm a product lead at Shopify. I'm working at Shopify since last year and joined specifically to work on Handshake Marketplace. And this is what I'm involved with since the time I've joined. I think that marketplaces in general, I mean, you will see during the presentation, I'm a huge fanboy of marketplaces. I honestly think that as a product person, everyone should try at least once to build a marketplace. It's a very specific experience added to your portfolio, and I would say pretty interesting and valuable one. So without any further delay, let me introduce Handshake, and then we will go through the slide deck. Right. So Handshake is a B2B marketplace connecting suppliers with retailers, merchants on both sides of supply and demand, small, medium businesses, not like corporations or huge brands. And as you could notice from this very short introductory video, we are in multiple categories. We trade at the moment in apparel and footwear, beauty and wellness, home and living, and further on like that. And we are very fresh. So we've just started. We've released our first version in August this year. We have quite a lot of really fancy stuff coming down the road. But it's just that I wanted to start with introducing not only myself, but also the product that I will be referring to quite a bit during this evening with you. And let's get started. So why build a marketplace? I mean, aside on the fact that I have said a bit earlier that I think it's a very interesting experience for you as a product person, but when you look at it as a product, as a business potentially, what's so cool about marketplaces? There is a few things, but I've outlined the three top ones in my opinion. And one of them, like the major one, is the so-called flywheel effect. It's basically the good side of the infamous chicken and egg problem of all marketplaces. So what does it mean? It means that when you're starting a marketplace, it's really hard for you to acquire users on any side of the marketplace, be it supply or demand, because of the simple reason that supply doesn't come to you since you don't have demand yet. You can't prove that you will offer them good channel to sell, and demand doesn't come to you because you don't have supply yet. This is this chicken and egg problem, which a lot of aspiring marketplace entrepreneurs have really struggled to overcome. But the good side of it is if you are through with it, if you are already past this stage, and if you have acquired your initial user base on both sides, then this so-called flywheel starts spinning, and basically the thing starts growing itself. Like demand flocks to you because they know that you have a lot of supply which they can choose from, and supply comes to you because they know that you have a lot of demands that they could fulfill and extend their reach. Because the second thing is, it's of course relevant for any product you build, but especially for marketplaces, user base is your competitive shield. It kind of comes out of this first thing a little bit. So as soon as you have acquired this initial user base, as soon as you have passed this chicken and egg stage, the users tend to stay with you, first of all, because they see the value of interacting between each other. And second of all, they are your asset in a way. Like any competitor could bring in a great technical team and build whatever great user interface or nice flows that you offer in some reasonably short time. But then they will actually have, in order for it to become a real product, they will have to also steal your user base or acquire like the same somewhere else. And this is what gives you a lot of advantage over any newcomer. And the last but not the least thing is that, I mean, e-commerce is cool. This is something where a lot of people wish to build their products in, like an area, but e-commerce usually comes with a problem of inventory, which you have to invest into. You have to store it somewhere. You have to like ship it. You have to take care of it. If you are building just a web shop, then that's all the problems that you will encounter. If you are a marketplace, you are in e-commerce, you can enjoy the scale and you can enjoy the growth which this market still has as we speak, but you actually don't own any goods, you don't need any warehouses, and all your business is 100% or close to that an e-business. Why build a B2B marketplace? So, okay, let's imagine we have all agreed that marketplaces are cool, but why particularly B2B? I see two main reasons. First of which is that B2B is just huge. I've just refreshed myself on this data shortly before this talk, and the reports say that B2B e-commerce is around 4 to 5 times bigger globally and also in any given country except China than B2C. In China, B2C is really strong, but I mean, this is more of an exception. In general, B2B is what powers B2C. It is what is behind any B2C success. There is a ton of B2B transactions happening. So it's just big, and it's nice to have even a smaller piece of this bigger pie. And second thing is that B2B, unlike B2C, where we have enjoyed quite a bit of innovation recently, it's still very old school. It's low tech. It involves a lot of complex processes, a lot of people who also need to learn how to use any new system. So it's really hard to penetrate, that's for sure. But if you do, then you are in for a treat. So it's really great to see how these people who have been struggling, like literally sending faxes around, they start using a new system. When they eventually get used to it, they are your like best users for life. They don't want anything else anymore. And it's really hard to then again steal them from you. So basically it's something that allows you to have like a way better business model. yeah, sorry, I think I've skipped a slide. So the next thing would be what you would need to do if you are inclined on building a B2B marketplace is identifying the domain area. I mean, B2B as any business is very big and very diverse. And I personally believe that you cannot really succeed if you are ignorant of a domain area. So I know that there is like this opinion that as a product person, you could literally be agnostic of what you are building. You just apply your best practices to whatever. But well, not in my experience, at least, it never happened. And I think that you don't need to get very deep into the problem so that you get sight blinded by living inside the problem. But you, for sure, you wish to have a good understanding of how this business works, or to have some experts who support you in that. Then what area to pick on the competition scale? Like, do you want high or low competition? Seems like an obvious decision to make, but in my opinion, it's actually not. Because high competition area means you don't have to educate your users from ground up. Your competitors have done it for you already. Your integrations, your onboarding, everything is just easier and smoother. Of course, on the downside, you have to offer users something that like distinguishes you from the existing competition. So I would say it's still a question where to go. And then it's always good to analyze what recent or upcoming legislation changes or what new tech becomes available. I can give just a few examples. Like we now see that e-pharmacy is becoming a thing. Like even in Germany, out of all countries, which usually are quite lagging behind in this regard, it is now being discussed how electronic prescriptions can become a thing. And this will unblock actual selling prescription drugs online, which is huge. I mean, pharmacy business is huge, and it was just always blocked by the legislation. As soon as this block is out of the way, I think we will see quite a lot of very exciting products being launched in this area. Or take Uber. Imagine Uber with no smartphones. That won't work. So as soon as tech is there, then you can start thinking about new things to build. The next thing would be is identifying specific problems to tackle. So just a quick example on Handshake side, we have identified these 3 problems that we see in wholesale between small, medium businesses. High friction, which means that it's really hard to establish a relationship. The whole process is very manual and very trust-based, and you need to prove yourself, and it just takes a lot of time and effort. There is also such thing as significant investment that is required for you to enter wholesale on any side, but mostly on the retailer side, because you have to invest into stocking up for trade. And considering such things as minimum order values or minimum order quantities for different products, it's usually on a scale of thousands of euro for a particular supplier you're stocking up with. And then you probably wish to have to carry products from multiple suppliers. So it's a big problem for any aspiring retailer. And then the third one we have identified is high risk. And it's not even in the way that you will encounter like fraudulent partners. It's more on the side that you have stocked up, as I have just noted before, for a few thousand euros. You invested them into inventory of certain products, and then you've just missed it. I mean, you've made a wrong call, and somehow all your endless stockpile of face masks just doesn't sell. So we have identified these problems. I'm sure that for whatever marketplace product you plan to build, there will be specific problems. I just suggest that it makes sense to start thinking about it in the very beginning. Next question to ask yourself, why are you best equipped to provide a solution to these problems? So do you have unique access to users compared to any startup in the market? Can you maybe leverage your existing tech advantage? Do you have a team that is already there and has like great experience in building tech products that could quickly ramp up anything you plan for. Maybe you have data insights that others don't have. Like for example, with Shopify, being part of Shopify, we can give a very precise, really good, not like, fake machine learning, but really good and precise advices to retailers, like what to buy, because we actually know what sells in B2C. When we are talking about unique access to users, let me just give you like a quick example of the few marketplaces I've worked on before. So take Chemondis. This is a marketplace in chemical industry. It is backed, and it was initiated by Lanxess, which is like one of the biggest German chemical companies. And for sure, they had an unfair advantage in access to potential users, in contacts already established, and in the end, even in being so huge company themselves, they could even enable initial supply by starting to sell themselves through this marketplace. Or take Saludo, which was started as a startup and a spin-off by DHL. I mean, DHL employs like 1 million people across the globe or something. I mean, it's really huge. And again, they had all the contacts to carriers, and this startup is basically helping you to ship things through different carriers. So they had access to carriers, they had capacity as carrier themselves, so they could enable this initial, like crack this chicken and egg problem by basically bringing both initial supply and demand to the platform. And then Univiva was backed by Apple Bank. So it's like a German, most favorite German bank for pharmacies and doctors. And the marketplace is about helping medical professionals find trainings that they would like to take. And again, if you as a bank, you have your customer base of whatever amount of thousands of very relevant leads, of course, this puts you in a way better position in comparison to any startup that some even great people have started in a garage or in a co-working space without any good access to their potential users. So think about what could be your unfair advantage for the problem that you wish to tackle. It's kind of obvious that any product needs a vision. I think that a marketplace is a product that needs it maybe most compared to the others, because marketplace may seem to be straightforward, but more often than not, it actually isn't. Let me give you an example of Handshake's vision. So Handshake is, or will be, the place for retailers to discover, meet, and shop exciting brands wholesale with low effort, low risk, and low investment. I think you can see how different pieces that we have already discussed, and well, some that we will still be discussing further, taken place as parts of this vision. And then vision is something that will help you shape your strategy, help you make decisions, help you decide when you are in doubt. You can just follow your vision, and it makes a lot of things so much easier to you. Also explain what your business is all about to your prospective customers. Okay, let's get to some table stakes marketplace wisdoms. And I mean, this is nothing I have invented. Even I have worked on a few marketplaces so far. I have learned this all from people who were gracious enough to share. So happy to share back. And I will also give you like a link to learn yourself in the end. So constraining the marketplace basically means that you should artificially limit your target user group geographically, socially, demographically, adoption eagerness-wise, business-wise, scale-wise. Just try to get as narrow as it makes sense, because if you can identify a narrow group of people who are really interested in what you are building, then it's easier for you to achieve the product market fit, and then from there you can just scale. One of my favorite game studios has a saying that a game for everyone is a game for no one. And I think it illustrates this point very well. So take Handshake. It is US based on both demand and supply sides. It targets small, medium businesses, makers with a brand. So we have on purpose constrained ourselves instead of trying to serve everyone and like be everywhere. Then next good thing to consider is picking a side. Like, for example, user acquisition even over revenue generation, or first traction even over great retention. Or like for Handshake, we have chosen retailer value even over supplier value. So you can see that both things on both sides of even over are good things. It's not that you just decide we'll pick this because this is great or something, but this is something that will help you make decisions further down the road. When you encounter a situation when something will suffer in order for something else to benefit, such kind of preliminary agreements will help you move faster. And it may change over time, by the way. There is nothing terrible about that. It's just you need to stay conscious of your changes. Then this point kind of a bit contradicts the constrain the product one, but it's a bit about different things. So aiming at covering a bigger part of the value chain, even if you are narrow in your user focus, but it's always great if you can cover like the most part of their journey. Like imagine those of you who are in Germany probably know this service, eBay Kleinanzeigen. This is like a spin-off of eBay, which is a really simple classified service where you can just find a product and reach out to someone who wishes to sell it. And the only monetization that this service has basically is through like selling you a way to lift your advertisement somewhere higher in the rankings or something. Compare it to like the bigger real eBay, which covers everything with payments and guarantees about this and that. Like this is a completely different business, and it's way more stable in the end. Yeah, so maybe a few words about our recent learnings as Handshake team, something we have paid in sweat and, well, maybe not blood, but a lot of sweat for sure. So a lot of people will consider different things when you tell them that you are building a marketplace. It's just a word, but there is so much behind it that you'd better make sure that when you are talking to users, especially when you are doing your user research to validate ideas, you need to make sure that you've made yourself really clear when you then make decisions based on these researches. So we made such kind of a mistake initially, and we've had to pivot quite significantly over time when we have learned that the actual expectations of our test user group were quite different from the ones that we perceived that they have based on their perceived understanding of what our product is going to be. So just make sure. Going out early. I mean, there is a ton written about it. There is like a whole great book, Lean Startup, about how you should go out early and validate your hypothesis, especially when it is a complex product like a marketplace and a lot can go wrong. A lot of your assumptions can be wrong. You just shouldn't be ashamed of taking something that is unfinished, maybe a bit ugly. You just take it out. It's still better. Even if you are a part of a bigger company, like imagine Shopify, it's a 7,000 people company with quite a name behind it. But what we have literally done this spring when we were hit with COVID news, we have built a WordPress website and put I don't know, almost a fake version of the marketplace there, just to probe the waters, to see how users will react to it, if we could start getting any initial traction. Of course, we were honest about it. We didn't say that it's all working. We said, yeah, this is just like your screen where you could put your profile on and some pictures of your products, and that's it. And even that attracted quite some interest. We started first discussions with the users a lot of which we actually have onboarded to real handshake later down the road. So later we have released an intermediary release, which was basically a classified solution. So we released the version with no transactions, no checkout, and you could just find something there and then reach out to a supplier. And that allowed us to bring even more people on the platform. And so now when we are having like a proper product, I can't like disclose the figures, but trust me when I say that like a significant, very important part of our product portfolio of our suppliers and retailers on the platform at the moment, they have come from these initial launches, which we really argued a lot about going out with, but in the end it was really good. Yeah, brave enough to change your mind. I mean, this all what I was talking about before in these 2 bullet points is about learning. But learning is useless if you are not brave and courageous enough to say, okay, we've made a mistake, we need to pivot, we need to find a different way at doing things. So just ensure good communication about your pivots internally, first of all, so that your team clearly understands why we are going this direction and not the other, and do it. Consider supply and demand acquisition differences. So at least in my experience, usually what happens is that, especially if people are coming from B2C, they are very much focused on marketing channels of user acquisition, advertising, online, SEO, SEA, these kind of things. And the thing is that it doesn't really work so well with supply for the marketplace. Because as a demand participant, you basically can come, you can take a look, it's really quick for you to register, you don't invest much. On the supply side, it's a decision you need to make, because you need to create your profile, you need to make it beautiful, you need to upload your product portfolio and make sure that it all works. Maybe you are connecting some of the systems, you are like inventory systems or whatnot, to this new product. So it's a lot of investment. And normally people just don't do it by reading some advertisement somewhere on Facebook. They need to be approached one-on-one, they need to be convinced. And this whole endeavor is way more about business development effort and sales effort even, rather than just marketing effort. So it's different. Being data-driven is also different in B2B. So in B2C world, we have a lot of best practices on how to do product development, how to validate your hypothesis, how to check that features that you have launched work well. There is like a ton of research on this topic, how to do proper and A/B tests, how to work with user cohorts, everything. It all doesn't really work so well in B2B for one simple reason. You never have that many items statistically to make the whole thing representative. So you maybe in B2C, you have like a successful B2C product will have millions of users, like tens of millions of transactions. And a B2B product will maybe be as great on the revenue scale, but it will have like 30,000 users or 50,000 users and maybe thousands of transactions per month. And then the thing is that each of them matters a lot, but statistically, it's really hard to derive any learnings from how people are using your user interface, how they're clicking on your website and what flows they are taking. It's hard to build funnels because really soon you are working with hundreds of events and it's not representative enough. So you have to accept that, and you have to, but on the positive side, you can actually be very close to your users. They are more of your partners and not just your customers. They are eager to talk to you. They are eager to test things, to come back to you with their feedback. So there are ways to build a great B2B product while staying data informed, but these ways are different from B2C. And this is it. I hope that I have managed to give you some nice things that we could still discuss in the time that is left. I would definitely recommend anyone who is interested in this topic to follow this link. and read, like this is the great collection actually of links on the topic of marketplaces. Like if you can't go through all of them, just at least the first one on the list is a great collection of articles by Leni Rashitsky on the topic of marketplaces. Like at least read that. This is like a must read. You will see how many things in this presentation I have basically taken from Leni, so I cannot praise him enough. And having said that, I am ready for Q&A.
Okay, thank you very much, Kirill. Very interesting. I didn't know that much about marketplace, so always nice to hear about something new. So yeah, all of it brand new for me. So thank you very much. So I know that we have some people interested in the audience. So please, you can also don't forget, you can also post your question on the YouTube channel or wherever you're looking at it. And I know that Victoria will give them to me, so you don't even have to put your camera. But for those who are with us in the Zoom call, if you want to make a question directly to the speaker, just be my guest and don't hesitate to do it.
From my side, maybe a question. How do you said you're working closely with the customers, and how do you convey those feedback or those ideas your customer has, because you have few of them, you're saying it's a B2B. How do you perceive that feedback, how you collect it, and how do you transform it internally that it's actually perceived?
Very good question. And so we do have quite strong user research in Shopify. And I mean, it's strong not only because we have strong people doing that, but it's strong because it's like a bit through the whole thing. So PMs talk to users, designers talk to users. We really encourage engineers to at least sit on the sessions so that everyone is involved and everyone can hear these discussions and the topics that the users, the merchants are bringing up. Or at least, like in a lot of cases, we actually record the calls with the consent, of course, and then like the whole team can take a look and have a good discussion around that. But I would advise that, I mean, sitting in the call, watching a video recording, it's all great, but the real value comes when someone sits down and creates an extract of that, puts it in some systematic format, like in a spreadsheet or whatnot, and analyzes it and serves it as a product for then the product teams to kind of work with it and make informed decisions. Because in the end, how many like half an hour talks you can watch through? You have still to do like other things, right? So it's really important so that there is some like meetings, like a good meeting should have something in the end of it, some outcome, and preferably in a way that even the people who were not in the meeting can learn about the outcomes. So the same with user research. Someone needs to take care that the outcomes of any meaningful discussion with your users are properly recorded and then shared within the team.
When you're saying users, you mean the marketplace owner, isn't it? Or do you mean the shopper on that marketplace?
No, when I'm saying users, I mean merchants. So
merchants, okay, merchants.
Supply and demand users of the marketplace, like the ones who actually are joining us to do business on Handshake.
And then there's the opposite question to this. How do you block that you're only focusing on certain feedbacks? So for example, you have one valuable user, let's say, and this one is asking you for a certain feature. How do you say, okay, this is a feature actually worth building it? But in general, you at some point you realize, wait, we only built that for that one merchant, and it makes no sense. I think this is a very crazy discipline to master, and would love to if you have the best practice or something.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, what I have said before helps, because as soon as you start systematically organizing the outcomes of your discussions with the users, then you can analyze them and say, okay, this particular topic was raised in like 60% of all discussions recently. So this is something not just one or two merchants are interested in, but this is like a thing across everyone. This is one thing. And then the second thing is that, I mean, you should stay data driven, but well, actually at Shopify, we say you should stay data informed instead of data driven. And I like this quite a bit because we are not making decisions based on data alone. We take data into consideration and we take it really seriously. But in the end, we are making decisions considering quite a lot of things. And a person who makes a call, like a product manager on a team, for example, for sure they need to consider a lot of factors and not just users' feedback. Otherwise, you become like a slave to any whim, and your product will be a mess, I think. So you need to be consistent.
You would have the problem with the loud feedback, isn't it? If you have few merchants being loud feedback and you go in that direction, then you're not building the right product. Okay. So from my side.
Oh, that's why you don't you need not to follow. You need to listen very attentively, and you need to be there for them. But the decisions need to be taken. Sorry.
So if I may ask a question, would that be okay?
Sure. I think we have some background noise for someone.
Okay.
But go ahead.
So first of all, thank you for a very interesting talk. It was very, very interesting. We learned quite a bit. So thanks for sharing your experiences. I have a question. Once you start looking at cross-border transactions, you're looking at a very, very different game. You're looking at a very different scale, where you start looking at things like customs, logistics, export control, country-specific regulations, and all of that. So there's an IT side of that as well, in terms of setting up your B2B work marketplace to serve all of that. But there's also the mechanics of actually getting all of this done. How do you reconcile? What's been your experience on this?
So first of all, really honestly, I personally have zero experience on that. So all 4 marketplaces I was involved up until now were country or at least like EU specific or USA specific as for handshake. And I totally agree. This is, first of all, this is a huge topic, and it's really cool. And I think that a marketplace that successfully manages to become like cross-border and to facilitate cross-border deals will be extremely successful, because for a lot of merchants in our case, but whatever you are doing, it's always a pain and a headache to go cross-border. All of the factors that you have mentioned, they are very, very valid. So a marketplace that helps its users to overcome or at least ease this problem, it will be very successful. But it's really difficult. So we even like started in US deliberately narrowing down to this market. And I mean, there are ways. I could just speculate that it may make sense to start in one country and then probably just expand kind of to a different country and have a clone product there, with them even acting independently of one another. And then as you learn and you find maybe a few countries where you are really successful, then you could start to slowly merge them together and say, okay, now we have USA and UK. Let's see what happens if we actually bring all this user base together and resolve this one particular route in between these 2 countries, considering the very specific tax, duty, like logistics, as you said, problems between these 2 points, and then learn by doing that, and then you can start exponentially expanding and adding new countries. Again, and just speculating here, I've never done it myself, even though I'm really looking forward to it.
I can probably share some experience here because I also worked before Spryker at a company called Web Interpreter that helps small businesses, including Shopify sellers, to bring their business internationally. And you're absolutely right; it's a difficult problem to tackle. And but I wouldn't say it's marketplace specific. Basically, for any online business that wants to sell internationally, you're facing the same problems. Yeah? It comes from localization that, again, will take a lot of efforts from you, but now there are more kind of automated solution. Have a look at Web Interpreter if it works for you. But it's also shipping, and shipping, from my experience of talking to Web Interpreter customers, it's actually the biggest problem that why people are reluctant to go there. And it's not only shipping there, but also processing returns and a lot of complexity here. But there are some partners who can help you with it.
Yeah. Shipping and taxes. I would say taxes is also such a big topic. Even within the EU, if you wish to process VAT between different countries, it's already like you need to have probably some partners for that. And there are companies who do that, but still it's pretty tough.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing, Michael.
Thanks for supporting, Michael.
Thank you, guys. Victoria, do we have any questions on YouTube or
not yet.
No?
If there are more here in the Zoom, please go on, guys.
Okay. Do you have any more questions, guys? Don't be shy.
May I, if nobody else is asking?
Sure.
So,
go ahead.
If you're looking, I can understand the traditional B2B model from an enterprise to enterprise point of view. What about what would be your thoughts about doing B2B, but with a more high, a sector such as, for example, a government? What would be your thoughts on that?
Again, never tried it myself. The most regulated area which I worked in regard to marketplace was probably the chemical industry, which is pretty highly regulated. But it's still different. It was between businesses and not involving any government as a stakeholder. It's just that government was imposing certain regulations. I could imagine that it could be both more difficult to kickstart, like as with anything that involves government, it would take ages for any decision to pass through. And but at the same time, as soon as you are in, you can probably enjoy like 5 years of great retention, because until any competitor can get in, you will just be the one there. But it's just my speculations. Never tried it myself.
I can see Michael smiling a lot, so maybe he has some.
No, I remember that we were doing some project for government back in Canada that there may be some other UI, like accessibility requirements and all of that you may not fully implement in regular business, but as soon as you have government, there may be some additional requirements that you need to check.
Yeah, I think on this level, a ton of things. Like back from my days when I was building web browsers, I remember that in government, in different authorities, it was still Internet Explorer up until like recently. So you need to make sure that your website layout works well in like some really outdated Internet Explorer version. Just because this is something that was standard for them, and this was something that they used. So.
In B2B, actually, even not in government, especially in Germany, you can see the same problem as well.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much. But being conscious about the time, I think we will just wrap it up here regarding the Q&A. So yeah, thank you, Victoria. So, I mean, I won't share again. Maybe I would share again just like 2 seconds just to remind you the links so you can join us whenever you want. Let me just check 5 seconds. Where is it? Is it here? Yeah, just so thank you very much everyone for being here tonight. Thank you, Kirill, for the really interesting talk, and everyone for the questions. Thank you for overcoming the fear of talking in public, guys, and ask your question. That's always something nice. Thank you. Again, we organize this meetup every week. Every week we have someone different from very different areas of products. So don't hesitate to go on our meetup page and come next week and the weeks after. We also have, don't forget the Telegram chats at Get Product People. And if you want to support us on Patreon, as I said at the beginning, if you have any connections that will need any product management work, don't hesitate to ping us on LinkedIn, and we'll be happy to reply. So I will stop sharing now. Just say a big thank you to everyone, and we'll stop the recording.